Hey Team Weather Shield, Jim here. Last week we talked about a new core behavior that relates to our core value of care personally. And this new core behavior is extend grace. Extend grace. And the concept is to give others the benefit of the doubt and to treat them with respect, with patience, even if they're just a little bit out of line. So that might be a customer who's being just a little bit unreasonable. On a personal front, it might be when our spouse is being a little short with us. It might be a child who is acting out or being crabby. Extending grace is hard. It's difficult because by definition, the time when you need to extend grace is when another person is offending you and probably at that moment doesn't really even deserve grace. Proverbs 15:1 in the Bible says, "A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." I was part of a lunch where we were working to win a bid on a restaurant. And one of our salespeople had been working on that, and we were invited to go have lunch at the restaurant. So the salesperson brought me, and I think there were one or two other people there from Weather Shield. And we went there to have lunch. The general manager came out to meet us. And he had never met me, didn't know who any of us were other than the salesperson. And they were really talking, the salesperson and the general manager were talking about the project. And at some point I interjected something. I don't remember what it was, but the general manager looked at me like kind of did a double take. And he looked at me and he said, "I don't know who you are, but I'm talking to this guy." And you could see the other Weather Shield people at the table, they all kind of just went, right? You could kind of see their eyes get wide and their mouth open and look at me like, how is Jim going to respond to this? What is he going to say in response to this? Because it was a disrespectful comment to anybody. Right? Not just because I happen to be the owner. And I think the guys from Weather Shield were probably expecting me to try to set the guy straight. Like, "Hey, pal, I happen to be the owner of this place," or something to that effect. What I did is I didn't say anything. I just nodded my head, said, "I'm sorry," and just kind of motioned to continue the conversation. And they went back to the conversation, and we ended up winning the project, did the roof, and it worked out well. But there's an example of a customer who was out of line, and at that moment I had a decision, right? I could respond harshly, in which case it would have escalated. We probably would have lost the project, or I could respond in a way that diffused the situation. I could show grace in my words and de-escalate it. And now that takes a degree of maturity, of patience, also of humility, because usually when we lash out in a situation like that, it's our pride talking. It's because our pride has been hurt, and we lash out because of our pride. So it requires humility to do this. It requires maturity to do this. So the exercise that I want you to practice again this week is to practice extending grace to those who offend you, and just to see the results and watch if you don't begin to get better results with grace than by responding in kind. Have a great week.